Hello, everyone. It's Melissa Arthur from Illuminate Guidance going live here in my home office. I am also the host of a free Facebook group for women called Own Your Inner Authority. And I am going to talk a little bit today about some experiments I'm doing with becoming more aware of my assumptions. So I'm going to take just a second here and go ahead and share into my group here. It's Melissa Arthur from Illuminate Guidance. And sharing into my group. Let me know if you're here. I'd love for you to say hi, and I'd love for you to join me over in my group if you find that these videos are useful for you. Okay, so in coaching, one of the most powerful questions that I feel we can ask oftentimes is, what assumptions are you making? And we'll talk a little bit more about why that's such an important question. You know, we've talked a little bit about in this group about how our brain works and how human nature leads us to do a lot of different things in the interest of keeping us safe that actually end up causing us a lot of suffering. And in my experience, making assumptions is definitely one of those things. Many of you, I'm sure, have seen this book, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. My mom introduced me to that book many years ago. It was hugely transformational in her life and for many people, because it really does point out several ways that we typically behave in the interest of, you know, staying safe and staying in control of the situation that really aren't serving us. And so I've been running a little experiment myself, just watching when I'm triggered or when I encounter a situation that's really bothering me, what are the stories that are going on in my head? And asking myself that really powerful coaching question, what assumptions am I making? Because as we know, our brain has a hard time differentiating story from fact sometimes. And that it will create a story when there are unknowns and we feel vulnerable or we feel unsure. It will create a story. And so we feel like we're back in control and we know what's going on. But the story can have absolutely nothing to do with reality. So how many times have you, you know, when you're dating or if you had a job interview or something like that, you're waiting for a callback. You're waiting for someone to call. And you don't get a call, and what happens? Your brain does its thing. Mine does anyway, or used to do this, where, oh, they're so disrespectful. I can't believe they didn't return my call. Or they don't want to talk to me. I messed up. I ruined my chances. This is going nowhere. Why am I even waiting? You know, on and on and on with the negative self-talk. Have you ever heard that song, Domino by Morrison? I love that lyric that says, and if you never hear from him, it just means he didn't call, right? And that's all it means. That's all we know for sure. In a situation where we don't have any more details than that, it just means that they didn't call. And if I manage my assumptions and I say, wow, I didn't get a call back for that job, or I didn't get a call back from that guy I was really hoping to see again, or whatever the situation may be, then the next time I encounter that situation, I can ask a question. I can be open to exploring, you know, hey, you know, there's no judgment here. I'm just wondering what's going on. You know, let's reconnect and figure it out. Whereas if I hold on to that assumption, I hold on to that story, I may do any number of things that add to the suffering that I've already caused myself by being on this hamster wheel of, you know, negative self-talk about the situation. I might, you know, really go into that next conversation saying, wow, I feel so disrespected. I can't believe this and this and this and this, and causing all this stuff, only to hear them say, well, I lost my phone. Or I've been really sick. I'm so sorry. I just, you know, didn't get a chance to get back to you. And then immediately, you know that those assumptions and all the suffering and all the potential conflict that you may have experienced as a result of, you know, following those chains of thought were really not serving anyone. And so I invite you to ask that powerful coaching question to yourself. When you find yourself going down that road of assumptions, ask yourself, what assumptions am I making? What do I know to be true about this situation? And what are some things that I'm just creating in my mind that may be true, but they may not be true? And carry that awareness through to when you do get more information about the situation, or you do have a chance to interact with that person that you were assuming something about, and test those assumptions, find out if they were true. And for me, I've been doing this for the past year or so, really just watching that default behavior of all this, stuff that goes on in my brain. And I find almost every time, I mean, there may be a couple times when what my intuition was telling me or my assumptions were right, that I had at the very least blown something out of proportion that didn't need to be blown out of proportion, and at the very most was just dead flat wrong. And you may find the same thing on your journey, but I invite you to share what happens, and hope that you have a great learning experience if you're willing to try that. As always, if I can be a resource for you, I'd love to get on a call with you. I offer a free breakthrough session to help you get clarity on whatever it is that you are working on in your life and design a bigger vision moving forward. So I will drop my breakthrough link in the chat and welcome you to book a call with me. Have a beautiful day.